What's up everyone, my name is Josh Rzepka, and today I would like to talk with you a little bit about dynamics and articulations. Now this video is going to be particularly helpful for all of my younger trumpet playing friends, all you kids in middle school and high school. Listen up, this is going to be some great information for you. Even if you're a little bit more developed and you're in college, this is a great reminder because we can always improve how we play our dynamics and our articulations. Now, dynamics and articulations, I like to think of those as the spice of music. Sure, we've got the piece of music in front of us and we've got all the notes, we've got the rhythms, we've got the structure and the form of the piece, and I like to think of that as the ingredients. And then the articulations and the dynamics, that's the spice. It gives us more instruction so that we can really use our musicality and bring everything to life and hopefully express what the composer originally intended. Now here's the big thing. Dynamics and articulations, they're not really actually for us. Sure, we need to interpret them. However, it's for the audience, right? The audience is supposed to be able to hear and understand what we're doing. The music is written for the listener. Sure, the music is interpreted by us. It's interpreted by a musician. However, the composers write music to be heard, and the notes and the rhythms are just instructions. And furthermore, the articulations and dynamics are just further instructions. So we want to make sure that we are very apparent with how we interpret all of these markings and that we play it in a way that it is expressed properly to the audience. So whenever we're preparing music, whenever we're playing music, we want to think about it from the listener's perspective. And here is a great exercise that you can go through whenever you're working on and playing music, when you're practicing. I want you to think for a moment. After you've played through a piece, think and imagine that you were sitting in the audience and you were listening to what you just played. And in your hand, you're holding a copy of the score. You're holding a copy of the music that you were listening to. However, that copy that you're holding had all of the dynamics and all of the articulations, all the slurs, all the staccatos, all the accents, all the sforzatos, everything was erased. And you're sitting there. Would you have been able to take your score and a pencil and mark in all of the dynamics and all the articulations that were in the original piece? Was it apparent enough that you could have clearly known when every crescendo started and ended, where every accent was, where every staccato was, where every dynamic change was? Odds are you're probably gonna say no. Maybe you would have gotten some of them, but the entire piece of music, would you have been able to really mark it in perfectly? Were you playing that clearly? That is really how I like to think about dynamics and articulations, and that's the way that I want to play them. I want to be so clear in my interpretation of the music that if there was someone sitting in the audience, that they would be able to accurately mark a part based on my performance. We want to make sure that we add drama to our music. Just playing the notes and rhythms, that's not music. We have to put our musicality into it. And we need to bring the piece to life. And the dynamics and the articulations are a big piece of the instructions as far as bringing the music to life. Now, we need to make sure that we also recognize that where we are playing, where we are performing can have an impact on our interpretation. If you've ever played in a big church, if you've ever played in a really resonant room, you'll know that you can play a note and it just reverberates for a very long time. And you'll know that if you play something real technical with a lot of notes, that the notes can kind of blend into each other because they're reverberating everywhere. So that is an example where we might want to take some of our longer notes and actually make them shorter. Sometimes we need to alter our approach so that the correct musical idea reaches the audience. And it's the same if we are playing in a room that's really loud, if it's really bright, maybe you're playing in a gymnasium or you're playing somewhere with a very loud sound to the room, you'll know that you'll have to take your dynamics down. And maybe your part says forte, but you may actually only need to play mezzo forte. If you're playing in a room that has got a lot of parallel surfaces, it's going to echo a lot and it's going to really amplify the sound. And then if you're playing in a room that's got carpeting and none of the surfaces are parallel, it's all curved, then it's not going to reverberate as much and it's not going to be as loud. So these are considerations that you really need to understand and make sure that you adjust your performance to meet the venue that you're playing in. And we want to make sure when you're playing in bigger theaters, when you're playing in bigger venues, you're really going to need to exaggerate what you're doing a lot. It's not enough that the people in the first, second, and third row can really hear with clarity what you're trying to express musically. The people in the last row, they need to hear what's going on. They need to know what you're trying to convey musically. So you may need to really exaggerate that quite a bit. If you've ever been to live theater, if you've been to a musical or a play, you'll know that the actors, they exaggerate their facial expressions. Their gestures are always really big, the way they exaggerate. And if you see them after the show, you'll see that they are wearing a lot of makeup. That's so that the theater lights can really capture their expressions and that the people in the back row can see what they're trying to express with their acting. So it's no different than actors in a theater where they have to exaggerate what they would otherwise do in real life. Nobody smiles as big or laughs as big or talks as loud as an actor in real life. That's way overdoing it. And that's because they are acting for the theater, for the audience, for the viewer. And it's the same with us. We're playing music. We don't want to play the dynamics for us. We want to play the dynamics for the listener. So I want you to really think about that and keep that in mind when you're practicing and preparing your music. I think it's going to really make a big difference, and it's going to just help you bring your music to life, and it's going to help you express your musical intent even better, and the audience is always going to respond to that. So I hope this video helps you out. If you enjoyed it, please click that like button, leave a comment below, let me know what you thought about it, and while you're at it, please subscribe. That makes a very big difference, and I want to thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.